While I was working Christmas Eve in the ICU, my daughter went to my parents' house. Grandma opened the door and said, "We don't know you. You must be at the wrong address," then slammed it shut. My brother texted, "We couldn't let her in. You know my son doesn't like her." I said nothing. I just did this. Next morning, they got the formal letter. Then, my name's Madison. I'm 34, an ICU nurse, a single mom, and the oldest child in a family that treats "you owe us" like a love language. I work nights, I meal prep on Sundays, I keep a laminated list of bills in my wallet because numbers calm me when nothing else does. My daughter, Lily, is 8. She likes glitter gel pens and lining up her gummy bears by color before she eats them. She is small and fierce and thinks the word budget is funny. Christmas Eve, 6:12 p.m., the ICU smelled like coffee and antiseptic, and the air felt too thin. We were short 2 nurses. I had a septic grandpa in bed 4, a teenager post-OD in bed 7, and a daughter waiting for a hug I couldn't give yet. I'd arranged everything. Neighbor would drive Lily to my parents, who lived 10 minutes from the hospital. A quick drop-off, a plate of pierogi, a present or two. I told Lily, "Ring the bell twice like a secret code. Grandma will open right away." She nodded, serious. At 6:19 p.m., my phone buzzed in my scrub pocket. "Lily, I'm here. The lights are on. Should I ring?" "Yes, bug, 2 times." I hung a vancomycin bag with one hand and checked the monitor with the other. The rhythm settled. My chest didn't. At 6:22 p.m., the next text. "Grandma opened the door and said, 'We don't know you. You must be at the wrong address.' Then she shut it. It's cold." My hand went cold with the message. I called, no answer. I called again, straight to voicemail. I told my charge nurse I needed 2 minutes and ducked into the linen closet because that's where we hide to cry. Then my brother Nate texted, "We couldn't let her in. You know my son doesn't like her. He's been doing so well. Don't start drama tonight." I stared at those words until the screen went dark. My nephew doesn't like her. 8-year-old kid versus 8-year-old kid, and mine loses because she's mine. I texted my neighbor to scoop Lily back up. I told Lily I loved her, that it wasn't her fault, that we'd do cocoa later. She said okay in the tiny brave voice she saves for shots. I went back to bed 4 and listened to the ventilator hiss and the clock tick and the thin line on the monitor pretend the world was orderly. I said nothing to my family, not one word. I charted, I adjusted drips, I rubbed a shoulder through a gown. I smiled with my eyes because the mask hides everything else. I said nothing. I just did something else. And the next morning at 9:03 a.m., they got the formal letter. Here's the part my family leaves out when they tell their version. When I was 21, Dad lost hours at work. I picked up doubles and slid cash through a kitchen drawer so the mortgage wouldn't lurch. When Mom needed a crown, I put it on my card and made $75 payments for 11 months. When Nate got a UDI at 24, I paid the lawyer retainer because Mom called crying and I was on lunch break, and that's what good daughters do. I told myself it was temporary. I told myself it was love. I told myself no one would keep score. They kept score, but only in one column. "Madison, you're so responsible," Mom would say, meaning, "Madison, we can lean." "Your job is stable," Dad would add, meaning, "We can ask you without shame." Nate learned the script early. "I'll pay you back Friday," he'd text. His Friday lived in a different universe. Mine had rent and daycare and a used Honda that needed brakes exactly when it shouldn't. When Lily was born, my family rejoiced like a confetti cannon. Then they put rules around their love. "Don't bring her when Max is here. He gets overstimulated." Translation: "My child is the variable." "Maybe don't post pictures of her," my sister-in-law added. "It upsets Max when he's not the center." Translation: "My child is a threat." And me? "You can't keep being negative," Dad would say, whenever I asked for basic respect. Translation: "Sit down and pay for dinner." Money wasn't a topic in our family, it was the bloodstream. If I didn't feed it, everyone went anemic. I covered my parents' cell phone plan for a month 3 years ago. I added them to my Costco membership because gas is cheaper. I co-signed a used truck for Nate after he turned a corner, and turning that corner apparently took him straight to a new gaming console. Every time I tried to draw a line, Mom tugged guilt like a ribbon. "We changed your diapers," she'd say, as if Pampers had an APR and I'd missed a payment. When the pandemic hit, I floated between ICU and step-down. I changed gowns until my skin peeled. I stood between families and FaceTime screens and learned how much we can hold when it's everything. On my off days, I bought groceries for my parents because they were afraid of the store. They still had opinions about brands, about freshness, about how I didn't buy the good butter, which was funny because I bought all the butter. I opened a 529 for Lily with leftover hazard pay and a little overtime. I didn't tell anyone. That was a quiet, bright thing I kept under my rib cage. In September, my mom asked me to contribute to the family Christmas. The capital letters were implied. She wanted $800 so we can host properly. I said, "I can't do 8, but I'll bring food and I'll do gifts for the kids." She sighed. "You know your brother's between jobs." Translation: your wallet, our plan. Then the texts about Max started. "He's finally stabilizing. Routine is everything. We need calm. Lily's energy throws him off." Nate typed like a therapist and wielded it like a weapon. It wasn't true. Lily and Max had been fine together in August at the park. He laughed when she taught him to kick a dandelion cloud, but the story changed when I said no to $800. 2 weeks ago, I found out my parents put the utilities in a family bundle that included my address. I only noticed because a late fee notice had my full name and their power company in the header. I called. The rep cheerfully explained my family plan saved $16 a month and auto-drafted from the card on file. Mine. I sat on the edge of my tub and looked at the grout and felt something harden I hadn't felt in years. I drove over. Mom made tea and smiled like a cat. "We figured it was easier if it's under one umbrella," she said. "Yes," I answered. "My umbrella." Dad shrugged. "We intended to pay you back." "When?" I asked. Silence. Nate was on the couch with the controller. He didn't look up. "You make good money. Don't be weird." So I stopped being weird. I got precise. I pulled statements. I lined up dates in a spreadsheet with a calm that felt surgical. Cell phone plan, 36 months. Truck payment I'd covered just this once, 8 times. Grocery runs, a conservative estimate, with receipts when I had them. Utilities bundle, last 3 cycles. Interest I had paid when I covered their visa, and they forgot to mail me a check. I didn't attach emotion. I attached totals. On December 23rd, after a 12-hour, I sat at my kitchen table and typed an email to an attorney whose card I'd saved after she spoke at a hospital lunch and learn about durable power of attorney and boundaries in caregiving families. I didn't expect a miracle. I expected clarity. I slept 2 hours, fed my kid pancakes shaped like snowmen, braided her hair, and went into Christmas Eve night shift with coffee and resolve. The plan was simple. It had 2 parts. Part 1, protect Lily. Part 2, stop financing my own disrespect. The breaking point wasn't a scream. It was a document. At 9:03 a.m., Christmas morning, while my parents were still in pajamas and Nate was posting a story about quiet family time, a courier knocked on their door. Mom likes doors when she's the one closing them. He handed over a manila envelope addressed to each of them by name. Inside were 4 things. A letter from my attorney titled Notice of Boundaries and Termination of Financial Support. It listed in neutral language everything I would no longer be doing. No more shared cell plan, utilities separation effective immediately, removal as co-signer authorization for the truck already in motion, cancellation of Costco add-ons, and termination of any automatic transfers. It included an itemized ledger of what they owed to date, with a proposed repayment schedule if they wished to maintain contact. A revocation of school pickup authorization,
Effective immediately, neither grandparent nor Uncle Nate had permission to pick Lily up from school or be listed as emergency contacts. The school had already received it. A no-contact letter regarding Lily for 30 days. Not punitive, just protective. Following the incident on December 24th, Madison and Lily will be taking a 30-day pause. After that, supervised visits may resume contingent on written acknowledgement of the harm done and agreement to behavioral expectations. My lawyer worded it better than my rage would have. A polite cease and desist about using Lily's name or pictures online without my consent. Screenshots attached. I didn't send it because I wanted drama. I sent it because I was done playing make-believe that love and access were owed without responsibility. My phone lit up like a slot machine. Mom, how dare you send a stranger to my house on Christmas? Dad, you ruined the holiday.
Nate said, LMAO, a lawyer, over a door. I typed one sentence to the group chat. We can discuss in writing after the 30-day pause. Mom called. I let it ring out. She left a voicemail I wasn't ready to hear. At noon, I posted a photo of Lily and me on our couch with hot cocoa and matching socks. Caption, home. No subtweet, no subtext, just us. At 12:07 p.m., Nate texted me directly, "You think you can starve us?" I stared at it. Then I sent a single screenshot, the ledger with the total they owed. Boring numbers, boring dates, boring math. He replied, "You're sick." I put my phone face down and taught Lily how to play Go Fish with candy canes. The first quiet day felt like someone turned off a machine that had been humming in the background of my life for 14 years. I didn't buy anyone paper towels. I didn't get a passive-aggressive text about the good butter. I didn't draft a polite apology I didn't mean. I made pancakes. Lily dusted them with powdered sugar like snow. We watched a dumb movie with singing dogs. She leaned into me like a small son. At 2 p.m., the hospital called to offer time and a half on New Year's. I took it because the budget likes what it likes, but it felt like a choice I made for us, not for a sinkhole. The fallout started fast. The cell plan. I'd already ported their numbers to a prepaid plan in their names with a month covered as a bridge. Mom texted, "My phone says I need to add a card." I replied with a thumbs up and the customer service number. The truck. The lender accepted my written notice withdrawing as the payment source for temporary hardship coverage. Nate would have 30 days to assume the loan solo or surrender the vehicle. He posted a meme about snitches and haters. I did not like or comment. The utilities. I split the bundle. Their power company removed my autopay. Their bill arrived, not mine. Dad sent a photo of the envelope like it was a threat. We'll remember this. He wrote, I hope so. The school. The secretary emailed a short confirmation. Contacts updated, only you and neighbor listed. I exhaled something I'd been holding since Lily was born. Aunt Vera called me from the laundry room at my parents' house. "They're saying you hired a shark," she whispered. "Your mother's pacing. Your father says you've gone corporate." I said, "I went adult." She laughed once. "Good. Keep going." Neighbors noticed. "Everything okay?" Mrs. Kim asked, handing Lily a foil wrap quickly. I said, "We're taking a break." She nodded like she'd heard the loud of quiet for years. The group chat kept going without me. Screenshots arrived through the cousin grapevine. Mom wrote, "She's punishing us for one misunderstanding." Nate wrote, "She thinks she can take Max's cousins away." Dad wrote, "Who sends bills to family?" Someone added a crying emoji. They never used my name. I forwarded nothing. I saved everything in a folder called Keep the Light. At work, people hugged me with their eyes. I told my favorite respiratory therapist what happened in 3 sentences. He said, "People like that put their hands in your pockets and then ask why your pants don't fit." We laughed too hard at that in a supply closet. Lily asked hard questions in small voices. "Do Grandma and Grandpa still love me?" I swallowed and said, "They do." Grown-ups sometimes make very bad choices. Love doesn't vanish, but access can pause. She blinked.
Processing. Like the iPad when I don't do my homework? Exactly like that, because truth in third grade language is still truth. The second week, Nate's truck vanished from my parents' driveway. Repossession. He posted a story about waking up to nothing. His comments were full of, "Bro, that's rough." He sent me a message heavy with consonants. I let it sit unread. Mom changed tactics. "Let us see Lily, separate from the money," she texted. "We're grandparents." I typed, deleted, typed. Then I sent, "I agree, separate from the money. See the letter, acknowledge what happened at the door, agree to the behavioral expectations. 30 days were never a punishment, they were a reset. We're at day 14. She replied with a screenshot of cookies cooling on a rack. "We made snowflake sugar cookies for her." I put my phone down and played Uno with my kid. The grocery savings were immediate. It's amazing how much just pick up a few things bleeds a paycheck when the list is written by someone else's entitlement. The first week, I put the difference, $163, straight into Lily's $529. I showed her the balance. Her eyes went huge. "Is that $1 million? Not yet, but it's ours." At night, after homework and baths, I wrote emails to myself with subject lines like, "Remember. Remember the cold doorstep. Remember the voice that said, 'We don't know you.'" Not because I wanted to bathe in it, because abusers often count on your memory being mushy. I wanted mine to be a ledger, a kind one, a firm one. On day 17, Aunt Vera called again. "Your mother's telling people you froze Lily out of the family. I told her she froze Lily out when she closed that door." Her voice went tight. "Madison, I watched it from the hallway. Lily's face?" I cut her off gently. I said, "I know. I know." On day 20, my doorbell rang. It was my parents. There was a tin of cookies, another prop. I cracked the door, chain on. Mom started with a hello. "You sent a lawyer to our doorstep on Christmas." "You shut a door in my child's face on Christmas," I said. "She startled me," Mom tried, eyes already shiny. "She texted me the exact words you said before you slammed it," I answered. I believe her. Dad said, "We have our hands full with Max. He can't handle surprises." "You could have texted," I said, or stood in the doorway and said, "Sweetie, Max is having a hard time. Can you come back in an hour?" You chose to humiliate an 8-year-old. "Don't make it bigger than it is," he warned. I slid the manila envelope through the chain. Acknowledge, agree, then we can talk visits. Mom sniffed. "We're not signing contracts to see our granddaughter." "Then you're not seeing her," I said, and closed the door with a calm hand. I expected shaking, a sob. Nothing came. It felt like turning off a faucet that had been stuck on scald. On day 23, my dad texted a photo of a money order for $200 with the caption, "First payment." I stared at it longer than I meant to. It wasn't the amount. It was the first. The concession that I wasn't an infinite well. On day 26, Nate posted a selfie at a bus stop with the caption, "Everyone abandons you eventually." A cousin messaged me, "He's telling people you called the repo guys." I wrote back, "I called the bank and removed myself. The rest is gravity." On day 30 at 9:03 a.m., I got an email from my parents. It had 2 sentences. "We acknowledge that we hurt Lily by turning her away. We agree to your expectations for visits." I read it 3 times. Lily was eating oatmeal with banana slices lined up like a tiny parade. I told her, "Grandma and Grandpa said sorry and want to see you at the park this weekend. I'll be there the whole time." She nodded and spooned more oatmeal. "Can we bring the glitter gel pens?" she asked. "We can bring the whole art store." We met at the park. It was not a Hallmark card. Mom tried to hug first, and Lily flinched before leaning. Dad squeezed too hard, and Lily wriggled out. Nate did not show. Good. I kept my eyes on my kid and the time and the terms. Lily drew snowflakes. Mom asked twice if we could do Christmas later. I said, "We'll see." When we got home, Lily fell asleep with markers on her fingers. I set an alarm for my next shift and put the $200 money order toward the smallest old balance, because knocking out a line on a ledger felt like a small prayer. People asked if I felt triumphant. I didn't. I felt clean. It didn't end with tears and therapy. They didn't change. Access did. Incentives, not hearts. I used to think love meant being an endless pocket, the good daughter who covered shortages and swallowed tone. Not anymore. Love without respect is appetite. Boundaries are the plate. The letter wasn't revenge, it was inventory. What I own, what I share, what I won't risk. I protected my kid and myself. No more doorsteps in the cold while someone says, "We don't know you." "You're selfish" used to burn. Now I let it drop. If selfish means I won't bleed for someone else's comfort, fine. My daughter is warm. Money trickles back, 20 here, 50 there. The ledger shrinks, the 529 grows. Maybe the world doesn't care, but my kitchen does. I got 2 sentences of apology. Enough. Door opened, not rug pulled. Night shift was quiet. Coffee bad, promise good. I looked at Lily's park photo, pink cheeks, messy hair, and felt my spine straight. Aunt Vera left a card, proud of you. I slid the $20 into a fun envelope. Cocoa on Christmas forever? Lily asked. Forever, I said. The moral? I love you is not a debit card. My child will never be the fee for anyone's comfort again.